Oh, I need to turn the radio off. Hang on. So I just filmed the whole thing and it didn't record or it didn't save properly on my laptop, so I have no idea why. I suppose it's my fault for recording on my laptop like that, which is not something I would normally do. But I've done it the past couple of weeks because it was just easier and I don't know. Serves me right. But anyway, so I was talking about in the first attempt journaling, and I wanted to talk about how I'd been using the Apple Journal feature and how it's really changed the way I journal. And I don't know if you're like anybody who keeps a diary or you're somebody who journals, but obviously a couple of weeks ago we were talking about David Sedaris' diaries and the differences between a journal and a diary. And I really agreed with something he said, and it really stuck with me, and it made me want to like mix things up a little bit. That a journal tends to be, I think he actually said this the wrong way around on podcast, but I knew what he meant because he publishes his diaries, so I knew he meant it the other way around. And he was talking about how, a journal is more of like, it's that introspective, you're talking about your feelings more, whereas a diary is more like a reflection of what happened. It's almost like chronological. So I've been trying to write more in like prose, like there's dialogue, here's what somebody said, and then this happened, and this happened. Because I think they're probably more valuable for looking back and for like sparking inspiration and just for like keeping track of what happened. So obviously, oh, hang on. She sneezed then, so I just had to show you. So I am enjoying trying something new, but I'm just sort of trying to figure out like how it fits into my life. Typically, I've been like a paper journaler. Like I love a nice notebook. Like this is a Paper Blanks one. I've always been a big Moleskine fan. I mean, I just have like stacks of Moleskines because they've just always been my go-to. I like a pocket jar. Like I keep a real diary. That's my Hobonichi for the year. I've just been a big stationery fan, to be honest. Like, I love to go wild in a stationery shop. I love to use pen and paper. So this is new for me, but I think the ability to search through is really, really useful, especially if you're trying to look back and remember something that happened. It's also a bit of a shift because obviously I really, really love taking photos. Like I am a film photographer. Like I love amateur, completely amateur, but I just love using film, like real film. And it's been really nice trying something new and sort of like going out without the big bulky camera. So yeah, that's been fun. Obviously I have this tiny little camera that I can take with me easy when I go places. So there's still that, but yeah, I've been really enjoying the process, seeing how it brings out a different side of me. I definitely think typing versus writing is a really different, or handwriting is a really different experience for me, and I'm trying to like figure out why that is, because it's not like the distraction of either. It's not the, I don't know. I feel like I do tend to be more introspective when I'm handwriting, and I don't know if that's just by association for the way I used to journal, and that's why. So it's been a big shift, but it's been a great shift. I think over the past 11 days, I've done my journal on Apple Journal. I filled my diary out on Apple Journal 9 times, so I'm pretty happy. I've only missed 2. I'm gonna try and like work that up to every single day. Set a time in the morning to write about the previous day, and I think that's like the right amount of distance, because I think it's always easier to write about something when you have like the appropriate distance from it. But what that distance will be depends on the type of writing. So I think a diary the next day is fine. I just think in the evening you're sort of too tired, whereas you have a bit more clarity on the previous day in the morning, and you remember the important bits and then forget the unimportant bits. So That's probably why. And well, that's the assumption I'm going on, so I'm just gonna run with that. I am a big fan of the Remarkable, so I have a Remarkable tablet, and I have been journaling lots on this previously, and I've got the Typefolio case, so you can put it into the keyboard mode and type, or you can use the pen. But I have just lost my second pen for it, which is really annoying because they do stick to the side like a magnet. So I really can't work out how that's happened. I honestly don't know if the cats are stealing them and just hiding them somewhere, because cats, if anyone has cats, they do love pens. They love to steal a pen and, like, you know, run off with it. There's Wilbur on the bin, trying to get into the recycling. So yeah, I can't quite work out where I'm going wrong with that and why they keep disappearing, but, you know, I'll report back when I figure it out. I'm probably going to have to get another pen. The last pen I got was just sort of like a knockoff one on Amazon, and it ended up being a lot nicer, to the point where I really wouldn't recommend you get the actual Remarkable pen that comes with it. You probably have to now because they've changed it, but when it was just an EMR pen, so if you're buying the Remarkable 2, I would actually really recommend you just buy like a cheaper one on Amazon. There's is it Stedler the pencil company? They make one. There's the company that makes pens. They make nice fountain pens, but like nice but affordable. I've totally forgotten their brand, but they make them as well. I just got like an off-brand. It was black. It had the eraser on top as well, which is something that you pay a lot more for if you buy the real Remarkable pen. So I don't know. Should we get onto the books? I am currently reading There's No Such Thing as Monday by Sean Hughes, and I'm really, really loving it. I put it down for some reason because I think a book that I was waiting on came out. It might have been the Dawn French one, or maybe The Land and Its People that we talked about a couple of weeks ago. It was one of those two. So I sort of just like paused and thought, oh, I'll come back to this. And I've just come back to it, and I am loving it, like really, really loving it. There's something about the dialect, the way it's told. It seems like it would be really difficult to get on with because it is sort of told as somebody's internal dialogue, and it's a lot of like what somebody thinks about things, and she's thinking about her memories. And I hope that makes sense when I say she's thinking about her memories rather than like she's just remembering things, because it's her processing it, and it's her adding layers to it years down the line, trying to like understand what things meant. And I think in a lot of ways that can make for like quite a dense read. So I need you to understand me when I say it's really not. It's told in such a endearing way. Like it's about two sisters that have very different upbringings, even though they grew up in the same house. And that's partly because the dad just really did not like one of them and, you know, loved the other one to pieces. And she was really, really, you know, favoured in every way. You know, her sister was abused physically. She was locked in her room, like their room was split off and her sister would be locked into her side. It was just a totally different upbringing in the same household. But the sister is the one that like sort of does better for herself. She turns out better and, you know, more adjusted in adulthood. And I think that's what makes it so interesting. Like it's such a good hook for a story. Because you want to know what happened between the sisters and like why didn't they keep in touch, and why didn't, you know, the sister that stayed to care for the dad, why didn't she try and find her sister when she didn't know where she went? And I think it just goes to a lot of like that shame that can take over families, where there's certain things that you don't talk about, and this was the one in theirs, one for fear, because they were afraid of, you know, the father's reaction and what he would do if they talked about certain things about, you know, her and her mother. But the way she was able to bury that, because even though her mother was so mistreated by her father, she wasn't. So I don't really know. I'm only halfway, so I know that things will be revealed as I go on, but I'm really looking forward to just like understanding that character more and getting to the bottom of it. I did a lot of cycling this week, so obviously you probably will have seen the clips. I was really trying to like get my activity levels back up. So I did probably about 3-hour cycles a lot of the days, where I'd go out in the morning, then go out again in the evening. And I'm exhausted for it, but it was really good. And I think it made going back to the gym a little bit easier, just because I hadn't totally like, let all of my stamina go. And it was really, really fun. So I really enjoyed that. I like exploring new places. If I can get around Cardiff, Newport and Caerphilly all in one bike ride, I know I've done a really good job. So I listened to David Sedaris's Let's Explore Diabetes with Owls. And this was a reread for me. Well, a re-listen. So I read the book originally on Kindle at the time, when I had a Kindle, before I swapped to Kobo. This was many, many years ago, and I read it on a coach coming back from Liverpool. I think it was in my first or second year of university, because I remember it on a coach. So it would have been when I was still going to see Rob, when he lived in Liverpool and I was in Cardiff, and we would travel up and down to see each other on the National Express coach. We used to get we had the National Express coach cards, and they're a bit like rail cards where you get a discount. I think you'd get a third off your tickets. And I used to love that. And I'd stick in an audiobook or take my Kindle or borrow his, because he had a bigger Kindle library than me and all these books that I hadn't read. So we would fly through them. I think we like signed into the same account, so we'd combined our Kindle libraries quite early on. So that was probably a sign, that we were going to stick around for each other. And I remember just loving this the first time I read it, and I read it on the National Express coach, and I sort of didn't want it to end. And I remember finishing it before I got off the coach, and I think I had about 45 minutes left where I had nothing to read, and just thinking like, I would love to do that. Like, I wish I had that ability to just be so funny and observational, and to like see so much in life. And I think it made me really want to be more present and more aware of everything going on around me, and to like enjoy the moments with my family and friends, and to keep a record of them somehow. So I've always been a journaler, always kept a diary, but I think this showed me the value in that. And obviously we did modules on like writing non-fiction like his in university, and we actually studied him on the course that I did. So yeah, it was really, really quite a nostalgic time to go back to that book, but it was really, really enjoyable. I love listening to it while cycling around. It's just such a fun experience. I don't know, I really, really, really recommend. And yeah, it's just been a busy week. I was out and about for work a lot. I was up in the Royal Welsh Show. I went up to Merthyr on the train, and then got the T4 bus, which was incredible. Like, the views are amazing. It's a really, really comfy, nice modern bus with like big, comfy seats and great Wi-Fi. So yeah, overall a really positive, lovely week for me. I can't wait to check back in and talk about There's No Such Thing as Monday. Let me know what you're reading, what you've been up to, if you've had a good week, if you've read anything that I've talked about, if you keep a journal. Let me know if you're a journal or a diary keeper. I suppose it could be either or. And I don't mean diary like, Yobanichi, where you're like planning your week. Not that sort of diary. But like a diary where you're reflecting on your day, or not reflecting on it, you're record keeping your day, if that makes sense. And yeah, have a fabulous week, and I'll speak to you soon.